Okay, so just like last Saturday, if anybody has any question, then you could stop me and ask questions. But if you can hold questions until the very end, then we'll have a Q&A. So today, now we gonna focus on the extracurricular activities. Now this is becoming a lot more important for not just for the UCs, but like a private schools and also like any schools that you apply for. Now, before I talk about the extracurricular activities, now I'm gonna go over the college application review factors that I did a presentation last Saturday. So I said that there are like 8 factors, and the 4 of them have to do with the academic side. So GPA and number of APs and honors. That is from the ninth grade until the senior year, and also SAT or ACT scores and AP test scores. Now, these are all very important factors for the college admissions. Now, the non-academic factors. So we're gonna spend the entire the seminar time focused on the extracurricular activities, and the among the activities. Now, I'm gonna talk about the competitions and awards, and also I'll speak a little bit about the college essays and also college application. What kind of applications are there and so forth. So let me start with the college applications. Now, if you're a junior, then you have to know this. So basically, what you're going to be working on as you start preparing the college applications is going to be mainly 4 applications. So UC application, that means all 9 UC campuses going to use one application. And there are 23 CSU, California State Universities, and they're going to be using all the same one CSU application. And for the private colleges and also the state universities outside California, many of them going to use common application. And some schools, let me show you the college list here. So here are the schools which are like private schools and also the state universities outside California. Now, if you choose any of these schools, then they're gonna do coalition application. So if you're interested in like computer science or engineering, then like a Texas A&M and the University of Texas at Austin, and also University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Now these are really, really good schools for computer science and engineering. So if you choose any of these schools, and also one of the very popular schools, that's University of Washington in Seattle. So if you choose any of these, then they're going to be using the coalition application. And if you want to apply for like an MIT or Georgetown, now they're going to use their own application, which we call it like an independent application. But it's not only MIT or Georgetown, it's just a sample 2 schools. So basically, you're going to be doing 4 applications, all right? So UC App, CSU App, Common App, and Coalition App. Now, there are admission type. So what's the admission type? Let's take a look at the Ivy League college admissions, and I'll show you some sample here. Now, you can see that there is regular decision acceptance rate here, and then it says early decision or action acceptance rate. And I told you that like an early decision or early action, you're gonna have much higher chance to get in. So there are 2 different types of, well, actually 3 different types of college admissions. So regular admission, that is you're submitting your applications by each college's traditional the application deadline. So UC and California State Universities, it's always November 30th, unless something emergency happens like during the COVID time, but November 30th. And most private colleges and also out of California State or public universities, the deadline starts from January 1st. So if you're doing this, then you are considered as a regular decision applicant. However, there is early decision admissions. So this is a little bit special case that you are submitting your applications in October, right? Usually the application deadline is like October 15th or November 1st. So you're submitting your application early, right? So I'll show you which schools do like early the decision admissions a little later. So you're submitting your applications in October, and all these schools gonna come out with their answers in the mid-December time. So you will get to find out whether you are being accepted these schools or not. Now, but there is a little catch, and that is you only can do early decision admission when your profile is really strong. So very good GPA, very strong SAT or ACT scores, and excellent the extracurricular profile, then absolutely you could do early decision. And there is a rolling admission. Rolling admission meaning, I mean, definitely there's a deadline. So usually that deadline is around like July time in your senior year. So rolling meaning that you could submit your application anytime, starting like early your senior year, and then as they accept your application, they'll review it and they'll let you know whether you are accepted or not. So that's rolling admission. Now, for the early admission applications, there are three different types of applications. And the common thing is early action. So many private schools gonna do this, and the application is due by October 15th or November 1st, and these schools will come out with the answers starting in mid-December time, right? And so this is the action applications, the most popular one. And these are the schools which do early actions. So Caltech, like West Coast MIT, and they do that. Chapman University, I don't know how many of you guys know this school, but Chapman is pretty good with like a business, even like computer science overall. So they're pretty good. Now, Loyola Marymount University, that's in LA, they're pretty good with the pre-med program. All right, so I think I mentioned this school last Saturday. This school is specifically or especially good for like a pre-med, right? And Santa Clara University and the University of the Pacific, which is very well known for their pre-dental and pre-optometry program. So all these schools are doing early action applications. So here's a popular one, Georgia Tech, and also the University of Chicago, Purdue, and MIT and Northeastern. But what you're going to find out is that some of these schools are not just doing the early action, but they also do early decision, which I'm going to cover a little later. Okay, so these are the schools. Now, the next thing is the early decision. Early decision, same thing, a lot of private colleges going to offer that, but the condition is that you only can do early decision application with only one school. Early action, you could do so many, but early decision, only one school. Now, it's called a binding application because if that school that you applied for the early decision and that school accepts you, then you have to go to that school. You cannot go to any other school. That's the little catch, right? And so same thing, the application deadline would be like October 15th or November 1st. And the school's gonna come out with their answers starting in like mid-December time. Now here are the schools which do the early decisions, so a lot of them. Now Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd, and Pomona College. Now these are three brother colleges down in Southern California. They're really famous with their engineering and the computer science, but engineering is much more like a famous, for these schools. So they do early decision, and also LMU they do early decision, and same thing with the Santa Clara. So these schools offer both early action and early decision. Now, if you do early decision, you're gonna get the best or highest chance to get in, and that's because you're doing early decision. Now these schools know that you really want to come to their school, so they'll try to open up as much door or as many door as possible for you to get in. So early decision. So the thing is, if you want the early decision, then that has to be the school that you want to go to, right? Because a lot of cases, many students, they do early decision, but later they find out that these private schools come out with really tasty scholarship program. But the problem is you have to go to this school that you did the early decision with. And here's Emory. They're really good in like biological and chemical science. So if you're considering pre-med, then you should also apply for the Emory. And U Chicago, Boston College, Boston University. Yeah, absolutely, those are good schools. And also most the Ivy League, like Dartmouth, Columbia, Cornell, those schools they do and also UPenn. They do the early decision. So here are the list of the schools, and there's a little bit more. Now, University of Wisconsin. I don't think that many people are thinking about going to Wisconsin. It's really too cold. But if you want to do pre-med, think about this school. They have pretty good pre-med program. Okay. Now, the last one is restrictive early, or sometimes it's called the single choice early, and that is because now only these four schools are doing it. I think there are some other, but these four are the famous ones. So Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, and Yale. Same thing with the early decision. You only can do it with one school. Now, the trouble or the problem with this is if you choose to do it early at like Stanford, then you cannot do any early action or early decision. With early decision application, yes, you could do early action application with other schools. But if you choose Harvard or Princeton or Stanford or Yale to do early action, then you cannot do any early action or early decision with other schools. It's not restricted though. I mean, it's not like, you're not going to be bounded, meaning that even though they accept you, you don't have to go. But who wouldn't want to go to Harvard or Princeton or Stanford or Yale, right? And same thing. I think the application deadline is by the November 1st, and then they will come up with the answer sometime in like mid-December time. So these are the three, the early decision, the admission applications. So early action, early decision, and the restrictive early. Now, I'm going to talk about the essays because you have to know like how many essays that you're going to be writing for your applications. So for the main applications like UC App, Common App, and Coalition App, these applications do require mandatory essays. So for the UCs, you have to write 4 essays, and each essay is going to be up to 350 words. Common App, you have to write one big essay, which is going to be up to 650 words. And Coalition App, one essay up to 550 words, and each application is going to give you different the essay prompt choices. Right? So UC is for 4, and Common App is for 1, and then Coalition is for 1. Fortunately, CSU, they don't require any essays. Now, there are independent applications, right? So MIT, Georgetown, they have different number of like application requirements. So MIT, I think that you're writing 2 like required essays. So there is like more essays that you're gonna have to do if you choose like a MIT or Georgetown. Now, as far as essay requirements are concerned, this is not it, right? So these are mandatory application essays. However, there are something called supplemental essays. Now, supplemental essays happen only for the private colleges, right? And then these private colleges are going to come out and they're going to ask you to do the supplemental essays, and the number could be from 1 to 5, right? And each essay could be 100 to 650 words. So you're going to find something like this from Ivy League or top schools. And out of all the supplemental essays, now why these college essays is going to be really, really important. So in order for you to do this, like why you want to come to UPenn or why you want to come to like Columbia, then you kind of have to do a research on that school and also the major that you want to declare, right? Because it has to be like very specific, and you really have to show that strong, like a passion and desire that, why you want to go to this school. I mean, you don't want to say like something like, Stanford is like really well-known school, and I've always wanted to go to this school. No, it's not acceptable, right? So you have to be very technical, very specific, and also you have to sound pretty professional. So why this college essay? It's very important. All right, so this is for about the college applications and the essays. Now, so today I want to concentrate on the extracurricular activities. So 2 questions that I want to ask. or you might have in your mind, is the extracurricular activity profile really important for college admissions? And how much portion in college admissions does the activity take? Well, the answer is extremely important. Right. So sometimes, or rather many times, extracurricular activity profile could be as much important as your GPA, right? Especially for the like a Ivy League and some like a selective or most selective the private schools. So as I showed you this chart last Saturday, now if you look at Ivy and hidden Ivy, now extracurricular activities is very, very seriously taken. So as one of the extracurricular activities is like competitions and awards, and these schools, they look into that, right? And also the most selective, like UC Berkeley, UCLA, and other the top schools, yes, they take it very, very seriously. You see San Diego, Santa Barbara, Irvine, and Davis. It says, it doesn't look like they are like really serious about the extracurricular activities, but trust me, yes, they take it very seriously. Now, a lot of colleges are doing a holistic review, and this is why your extracurricular activity profile is getting more important. So, what is a holistic review? Well, holistic review refers to mission aligned admissions or selection processes that take into consideration applicants' experiences, attributes, and academic metrics, as well as the value an applicant would contribute to learning, practice, and teaching. So, what's that mean? It means holistic review allows admissions committees to consider the whole applicant rather than proportionally focusing on any one factor, which is used to be like academic factors, right? So they really want to know, or they really want to get to know who you are, not like a GPA machine or test score machine. So this is from University of Washington in St. Louis. They're really famous with their biological science, and I think I mentioned this last Saturday. If you want to go into like biology or biological research, more same thing with the chemical, biomedical engineering, then you cannot skip this school, right? So this is what they say. Extracurricular activities are one of the factors considered when making admission decisions at Washington University. We try to get a sense of what a student is passionate about. So this is very important, passionate beyond the classroom. So what they're saying is they're more, or they are very much interested in not just your academic performance in your school, but something outside. We look to see what occupies the student's time when he or she is not in class. So instead of a laundry list of activities, we look for those to which the student has shown commitment over time, the leadership roles that have developed, etc. We also understand that for many students, an after-school job or caring for a sibling or relative will be the primary extracurricular activity or commitment. Now here, you kind of have to be careful with this, the paid job after school. You do the paid job, that's good, but there is a little condition though. Let's say that your family is struggling financially, right? And then you get a job and you help your parents with the payment and all, that's good. But if you're just working at the clothing company or some like a Jamba Juice and you're just making money for your like expense money, that's not that good, right? And also, let's say that you have a brother or sister who had like really serious or bad, like a ADHD or some sort of like a handicap, and then you have to take care of. That's good, right? So that's what they mean by caring for a sibling or relative. So this is why that your extracurricular activities are very, very important for college admission. Now, there is something called the strategic positioning and building a class. Now, there's something it's good to know. Now, admission committees are building a class. So it's very interesting. Top colleges are looking for well-rounded incoming classes, not well-rounded students. So in general, we have this understanding that if I do so many different things, I'm like really good, then it's like an open door for me to get into Stanford or any of the Ivies. That's totally wrong. I mean, the thing is, let's say that you have like tons of activities and you are at top, right? So you achieve so much and you hold like multiple leadership positions and you could share so many things from your extracurricular activities, then that is good. But you have so many different activities, but nothing's like really shining. It's like, you know, the when the application readers read your application, it looks like that you did really much, but nothing like it really stand out. That's not good. So that's what it means by the top colleges are looking for well-rounded incoming classes, not well-rounded students. So who are you going to be in the incoming class? So what talent or perspective do you bring to the incoming class that no one else brings? Right. So do you have the potential to be future leader in your chosen field? So this is kind of like a top level kind of the extracurricular activities that these schools going to be looking for. And the admission committees at the top schools typically don't like admitting well-rounded students into their incoming class. They want students who are focused on one or two areas. That this is very important. So you kind of have to adjust to your like ideas or your thoughts that I have to do so many in order for me to impress these top schools. No, you don't, right? So a lot of like parents, especially the parents, think that okay, my child has to do sport, music, art, and all different kinds of activities, so that the application readers will be impressed by like all these different activities that my son or my daughter did. Mm-mm, that's not. So what they really want to see is it's like digging a well, just one way through. So if you can show something like a one or two that you committed your life to, right? So when the application readers read your application, and then they could be impressed, like, or they could get an idea, something like, oh my goodness, this guy was completely computer science, right? So that sort. So the strategy is center personal statement, which is your essay on a singular passion or intellectual pursuit that makes applicants seem more focused, right? So I'm gonna share this thing later. Now, as far as like top schools are concerned, like Ivy League, Stanford, Hidden Ivies, MIT, and all, you will be very surprised how many applicants have pretty same type of academic profile. So they all have like 4.6, 4.7 GPA that are like SAT scores are like 1550 or higher. They have like so many number of APs and honors. It'll be pretty much the same. If there's one thing that's gonna make these applicants like differentiated from others, it's gonna be extracurricular activities, right? So that is why that all these schools are so. I mean, they spend so much time like analyzing and evaluating the extracurricular activity profile. So there are 6 qualities. So leadership and initiative. So is this student taking assertive ownership, a mover and a shaker, or just a distant spectator from a membership level, maximize the opportunities in the environment? So leadership and initiative is very important. Impactful passion, involved in meaningful activities that significantly and positively affect their family, school, community, and beyond. Now, this is kind of way that Ivy League and Hidden Ivies define their leadership. The word leadership is something like, have you tried to reach out to a community have you reached out to the community and try to transform the lives in the community, which is called the impactful passion, right? That's the kind of activities that school is going to be looking for. So when they say like community, it could be your school, your class, your club, right? So that's the community, okay? Achieving excellence, harvesting uncommon results in both common and uncommon activities, and I'm going to show you what are the common and uncommon activities. Consistency. So are there signs of never give up and the greedy commitment despite facing hardships? And growth and maturity, is there progression or stagnation, pushing the boundaries to grow in their roles and responsibilities, and connection to the future, obviously, you're the major choice for your college, okay? Now, out of all these, I would say like almost like every school is going to be looking for passion, out of the extracurricular activities. So the passion is something like this. Now, your activities are supposed to be a reflection of you and what you care about. Now, admission officers can usually tell when you are just doing activities to pad out your resume. And colleges love students who are passionate because they are the ones who will stick with something through thick and thin and go on to change the world. It's a really big word, like changing the world, right? But top colleges are really into this because they are investing a lot of money into their students for them to become the next gen leaders in the world, right? If it is not in the nation, right? So they are looking for quality, right? So I sound like you're far out, but if you're thinking about, especially if you're thinking about like those top schools, yes, absolutely. And you can show passion by focusing on a couple of activities and dedicating a significant amount of time to them. Now, leadership. The leaders are the people who will be at the forefront of change and the first to take on new challenges. Since colleges are looking to educate and shape the leaders of tomorrow, they love to see students who are taking initiative to be leaders through their extracurricular activities. It sounds really big, but what they are looking for is starting from your club. So you become like, president, vice president, secretary, or, treasurer. If you just put the title like of your club on your applications, I mean, the reader's going to appreciate that, but the description part is going to be very important because they're going to be curious. So you were like a president at this club. What did you do? And that is why when you work on the college applications, there is a separate section which is called the activity list. How you're going to describe your activities is extremely important. And that's probably the place where I would say like 80% of the senior students, they kind of like mess it up because they put just whatever on there. But think about it. Try to think from the reader's perspective, right? So this, here's the person who doesn't know you, but you are submitting your application to this person whom you never met, and you really want this person to accept you. But on the activity list that you list all these activities without prioritizing, so it's like it's everywhere. And the way that you describe the activity, so I'm reading your applications and I go, oh my gosh, I don't want to read this. It's like everywhere. There's no point. That's what a lot of seniors do. So making that activity list and how you're going to describe your activities, extremely important, right? Extremely important. So, when you have that leadership position, how you're going to describe like what you accomplished, that's very important. Now, if you're ninth or 10th graders right now, you kind of have to think about what you want to do as far as your club activities are concerned, right? So think of something that you could do. And so it's not just join the club and you're going to say, oh, I was a member of NHS or Science Olympiad. You're going to have to do more than that, right? Just give some thoughts on that. Impact. How have you changed your activity for the better, right? Have you expanded membership or the number of activities your extracurricular does? So let's say that you are a president, and then you recruited more members. So starting from like 10, now you have like 30 members. That's good. All right. So that's the kind of things that is talking about. If you saw a problem, did you fix it? Now this is one of the essay prompt choices for all college applications, right? So when you faced hardship, what did you do, right? So that's important. And colleges are looking for the people who are going to change the world someday. So again, they're changing the world. And in your activities, you can show them that you are the type of person who takes something and lives it better than you found it. So there's a consequence, not consequence, results, fruits. So these are all important. So the bottom thing is it's quality over quantity, right? So once again, it doesn't, for like in the UC application, they're gonna give you 20 spots for you to fill out for activities. And if you just list all like 20 spots with clubs and just membership, they're not gonna like it, right? So they're not gonna they're not gonna take time to read all, right? So quality is always important. Now, here are the activity types. So clubs, organizations, sport, music, art, and all these are very, different types of the activities that you can do. And the scope of commitment. So school, district or regional level, state, national, international level. So that will be important. And also level of commitment. Did you do that activity on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly or yearly? And also consistency, 1 year or all 4 years. Now, this is especially important for playing sport. All right, so let's say that you play football or basketball, baseball, or any sport, and you just did it for 1 or 2 years. Well, 2 years is kind of okay, but if you just did a JV, then I usually don't recommend you to list that on your application unless like you have nothing else to say, right? You kind of have to play for varsity. And also, if you play the sport for 1 year and then you want to put it on your application, I would say no, don't do that because it doesn't look good. It's very inconsistent, meaning that the readers can have this impression that there's got to be some reasons that this student did not play long, like more than 1 year. So that doesn't look good. So if you play sport like all throughout the high school years or more than 2 years, yes, definitely that would be good. And the membership versus leadership, absolutely. So leadership is going to be a lot more important. Let's say that you join the clubs and then you see there is like no way that you can be a leader. Then the thing that you can think of is start your own club, right? Any club that will be fine, but not like any club that you're gonna have like a fun or like in the killing time, but some quality work that you can do. You could always start your own club, and if that club does not or cannot happen in your school, then you could make that club outside school, right? Now, here are the common activities. So, club and organizations, so a lot of students going to join, like Interact, HOSA, or speech and debate, and all this. And high school newspaper. So, this is like all common. And community service and volunteering work. Now, this is important. So, you kind of have to have, I say have to have. So, you kind of have to have some sort of the community service or volunteering work you did in high school. Right, whether it's so many hours or not, you're gonna have to have some. And sport, dance, martial art, music and art, it is all common. Academic competitions, so speech and debate or DECA, HOSA, robotics, right? And also science Olympia. Now, these are more like uncommon. So let's say that you are considering like a major in computer science. But if you don't have any activity related to computer science, that would be a big minus, right? So you kind of have to think of doing something related to the computer science. So robotics team, you join the robotics team, and then you go out for the competitions. That could be one. Hackathons, that could be another. You could do your own programming, right? Or you can develop your own software, or a lot of my students did in past years for the computer science major and also engineering major. They made like apps for like Android phones and also the iPhones, and they put them on like a YouTube, and they had like so many followers or the viewers, or they actually put their apps on market, so like Android and the Apple. And the money that they made, they like donated the entire income to charity organization. Yes, it's good, right? So you kind of have to show that it's passion, right? So you have to show that you are passionate about like major choice that you are declaring to these colleges that you're applying for, right? So pay jobs, these are all common. And the next thing is gonna be uncommon activities. So as I mentioned, it's going to be always better to found a club than joining a club and you become like a leader. I'm not saying that's bad or that's like less important, but founding a club is going to be really good. And also nonprofit organization or any sort of organization. Okay, and now this is going to be pretty high level, like creating magazine, or you're starting like a science fair. Now, this is pretty common thing, leading multiple organizations and also international, the competition in sport. and this is usually Ivy League and hidden Ivies. Okay. And if you're academically strong, then try this, like math competition or a science Olympiad. Because when you work on the applications for the UC and also like IVs and hidden IVs, now it's gonna say, did you do any contest or did you do any like competitions, right? So like a math competitions or science Olympiad, like biology. Sorry, this is the auto sensor. Biology, chemistry, physics. So you could. So I think most of your schools have the science Olympiad club, right? So you could join the club and do the competitions. Now, let's say that you are really good in writing, right? And then you train or you get trained at, like, private institute and you go for writing contest and you win like national championship or, state championship. There are some like writing contests that you could do. And if you do that, it's like almost guaranteed for like Ivy League admissions, right? But very difficult competitions. But if you're good in writing, you could do that. And also, if you love like writing book or article or poem, then you could actually publish a book or article or poem. It doesn't have to be like big time thinking, right? Just whichever. But you publish a book and then and you put it on like Amazon and people buy it. That'll be really good. Now, these are the three programs that I recommend very much for most of the students. Now, these are usually for the summer programs. So internship or research, summer educational program, and the university summer program, which is called the pre-college programs. So for the summer programs, these are the tops. So either internship or research. Now, usually internship or research are mostly available for the 11th graders. So if you're rising seniors, then you will see a lot of opportunities. But right now it's kind of late. Because if you're a junior and if you're looking for like an internship or research, because these programs are very competitive, like they require like applications and your essays and also teachers' recommendation letters, and the deadline's already passed for many programs. So I don't think that you could find like a lot of like internship or research. But internship is concerned. Let's say that your father or your parents are working for like there's a private like tech company. Uh, well, I guess if your dad is the owner of the company, then your dad could create this internship for you, right? So you go there and you do the internship. However, internship meaning the work that you do must be really good, right? So if you're just doing like very minimum work, like clerical work, and you say that was an internship, no, that's not good, right? So internship is not just at the top colleges, but any company is going to be fine. The next thing is going to be summer educational programs. Now these are very challenging programs. So probably a lot of you guys are familiar with Cosmos, which is from like some UCs, the sponsor or they offer this program. So UC Davis, Irvine, San Diego, and also Santa Cruz, and I think Santa Barbara, they do that too. So Cosmos is like a really competitive and high-level STEM program that you can do at one of those UCs. So these UCs, they have different programs to offer, and so if you join the program, or if you can get into the program, and you go through the program, and you put that experience on your college application, yes, that'll be really good. Now, YYGS, that's the Yale Young Global Scholar Program. Very similar to Cosmos, but that is from Yale University. The admission rate is usually pretty low, right? So this is something that you can consider. And the last one is the summer program, which is pre-college program. So what you do is you're taking these courses at like Harvard University or the Brown University. For the UCs, there is a UC Berkeley's program. It's a pre-college program, which is called the Berkeley's ATDP, and I think it right here. So ATDP is UC Berkeley's pre-college, and also Johns Hopkins. Do you want to do pre-med and your academic profile is pretty strong? Don't skip this, Johns Hopkins. Right? Johns Hopkins is really good. And they have sort of like, pre-college program, which is called the CTY, right? So you could do that. So here are some sample programs. If you go to like any college website, so I mean, don't be afraid of checking out like Ivy League and like Stanford, MIT, Caltech. It's the summer programs, designed for the high school students. And so check them out and, and see if there are like any programs that you want to apply for and just give it a try, right? But what they're going to be looking for is obviously, I mean, your GPA, you have to submit your transcript and sometimes your test scores, so like SAT or ACT scores, and your activities. So you're supposed to introduce or report like some activities that you have from high school. So, and here are more programs. Okay, and here are more. Okay. So the summer suggestions. If your GPA is not strong, then consider taking more classes during the summertime, either online school or community college. Now here, I prefer or I strongly recommend AP classes over the classes at a community college, right? So you kind of have to be careful with this. Now I know some high schools, they have like a college connect program so that you could do so many classes in school and so many classes from community college, and then your GPA could be pretty high. That's good. I mean, your school's promoting that, so that's good. But the colleges, they will know like how many APs and honors that your school is going to offer or your school offers, right? So when they review your transcript, right, they're going to find out, they're going to try to see like how many APs and honors that you had in your high school time. So for example, like, DVHS, they offer like a 17, like 15 or 17, like APs and honors. You only have 3 or 4, and you're applying for like Ivy League or top schools, even like UCLA, UC Berkeley, that doesn't look good. So you kind of have to maximize the number of the APs and honors. That's the first thing. So try to take more APs and honors and in your school. And between the honors and APs, always the APs have more favor than the honors. So please consider that. And so if your GPA is not too strong, then you could take more classes during summertime. And if you can do like, something like an AP psychology, which shouldn't be that hard. And I see from my students that they want to do computer science, but they don't have like an AP Comp Sci. Sometimes like schools, they don't offer that. Then try to do an AP Comp Sci, like an application and principles through online school, right? Or you could take like, equivalent the AP Comp Sci classes at a community college. But once again, the priority goes to like AP classes, right? And internship research program, this is going to be for maybe 10th graders and 11th graders. But the usually internship and research, not so much are available for the 9th graders, right? So, and that's because of the age. Usually internship research that require like you have to be 16 years old, and also you have to be you have to be in the junior year right now, right? So when you become a junior, when you're in junior year, then you're going to have a lot more opportunities. And academic programs from top colleges, so like, Cosmos and some other type of like educational program, yes, you could do that, and also pre-college. All right, so once again, summer is going to be the best time for you to boost up your GPA, all right? So if you're a junior right now, and so you're going to be working on your application soon, and your GPA is not too strong, then you have a time, for example, like UCs and CSUs, right? You have a time to boost up your GPA until November 30th, right? Please, remember the UCs and CSU, they don't care about the 12th grade GPA. So if you can boost up your GPA until you submit your UCs and CSU applications, yeah, go for it, okay? So the questions are, Have you developed a sincere sense of social responsibility? Have you taken action to challenge and address community issues? Have you made meaningful, sustained impact? Have you pursued genuine interest? Or is it obviously packaged? Right? So there is a way for like the colleges to identify or get to know whether this applicant is actually packaged applicant or not. So packaged meaning that you did all these activities because you want to come to Stanford, right? So I'll show you some examples, and some of you guys might be interested in like applying for Ivy League and Stanford. Now this is what Stanford is going to be looking for. There are three things: intellectual vitality, passion, and personality. Now, intellectual vitality is going to be something that I don't want to say the only, only Stanford's going to show this, but they are very much into intellectual vitality, right? So I'm going to talk about that a little later, okay? And passion and personality. So this is Stanford applicant, the rating system. So based upon three areas: academic, extracurricular, and intellectual vitality, it's a 1 to 6. And 1 is the top. I mean, we usually say the higher number is the top, but no, 1 is the top for the Stanford. So in order for you to have top rating 1, you're gonna have to be at like top 1 to 2% in your class, right? And the most challenging course load of AP courses, meaning that you literally gonna have to paint like 10, 11, and 12th grade all like APs and honors, right? And also SAT, ACT scores in the 99th percentile, so almost like a perfect score. And then this is going to be important. So glowing letters of recommendation, right, indicating that this student is passed out of the applicants from past the several years from his or her school or her high school. So you can always see, like from DVHS or Cal High, Dublin High, you could see like how many people actually got into Stanford each year. So sometimes none, sometimes like 1 or 2. So you're gonna have to be at that, you have to be at that level. Now, academic personal profile components, so grades, class rank, but public schools, they don't do that, and course intensity, test scores. So these are basically what I just showed you. And this is what's going to happen when you submit your application. So Stanford, not only the Stanford, but like Ivy League and top schools, they're going to have dedicated admission staff. What's that mean? UCs, they always hire application readers every year, right? So there are a pretty good number of application readers come back and they do like read the UC applications, but there were like hundreds of the application readers. So as they hire these people and they train for, I don't know how many weeks, but they get trained. But the challenging part with the UC application is that they're gonna take less than 10 minutes to review your application and decide. 10 minutes. So that's really quick. But the private colleges they have very different the pathways to evaluate and review application. So dedicated admission step, meaning that usually hidden IVs and Ivy League, they have these people who have been doing the application reading for many, many years, right? So, and the application readers, usually it's 2. I'm pretty sure that there are some private schools which have only one person reading the application, meaning one person's reading one application, but usually it's 2 people reading one application, right? And the thing is, insight into the schools, so that means the application reader is gonna have a high score profile, so they will know your high school. And also letter recommendation is gonna be important, and counseling, these are all important things. And Ivy League, if you're a counselor graduated from Yale and then you're submitting your application to Yale, maybe your counselor has some relationship with the admissions office. That's gonna be good. I mean, it's not like, opening the back door, but that relationship is pretty important, right? And as I mentioned, the quality over quantity, that's gonna be important. And Stanford essay, the GPA, just like UC's, right? And the grade is gonna be from 10th and 11th only, and they're asking 4.7. So you can see how many APs and honors that you should have. And it's the academic classes only. No PE, no band, no orchestra, just the academic classes. And the just like UC's, Stanford, they don't do plus or minus. Okay. And here comes intellectual, vitality. Now, for the intellectual vitality, this is like great, the highest rating. Independent academic research outside the classroom with a college professor leading to published research in a journal. So that's what they're looking for. And Stanford Intellectual Vitality Supplemental Essay, I'll get to that a little later, and showing a true love of learning for the sake of learning at a high school or high level outside the classroom. So they're expecting you to do a lot more than just having 4.7 GPA, right? And does the applicant take ownership of the education outside classroom? So they'll find out whether you took all these classes out of your own passion or your own initiative, or your parents asked you to do that, right? And is the applicant the kind of student who would enrich the learning of other Stanford students? And is the applicant passionate about learning? Okay. So I'm going to skip this part. So intellectual vitality and supplemental essay prompt. So you have to write an essay about this. So Stanford student possess an intellectual vitality. Reflect on an idea or experience that has been important to your intellectual development. So intellectual vitality is like you're doing a lot more than like outside your classroom. And why did you do that? That's the intellectual vitality, right? So this is the kind of people that Stanford like weeds out, meaning that they eliminate. And those are the perfect students who are not intellectuals, who get perfect grades and test scores for the sake of getting into Stanford and getting a high-paying job, and not because they love learning. And this is why a lot of applicants get rejected from Stanford, even though GPA is like a 4.6, 4.7. Okay. Now, here's the difference between Stanford and the Ivy League as the applications are reviewed. So Stanford admits the most compelling applicant, not necessarily the most qualified applicant on paper. And they weigh the SAT less than the Ivy League. And they weigh the supplemental essays more heavily than the Ivy League. And they weigh legacy status. So this is one thing that a lot of students don't have. But yes, legacy is much more important for the Stanford. And the athletic recruiting, Stanford does a lot, right? So they do that like more heavily than the Ivy League. And they assign applicants a separate intellectual vitality rating, and they do not give as big a boost for early action applicants. So you're going to see that for the early action, the application, the acceptance rate compared to the regular decision is not so much. It's not for the Stanford. Now, this is the Ivy League. They have a 1 to 9 scale. Not like Stanford, 9 is the highest for the Ivy League. So academic rating and personal rating. So academic rating, that's the academic index. So this is like a GPA and test scores and all that. And the personal rating, that's personal essays and extracurricular activities. So this is like the best profile that you can have. So top 1 to 2% of high school class, and most challenging course load of an AP class is just like Stanford, and the 99th the percentile on the SAT or ACT scores. By the way, you don't have to do both, right? So don't try to do both. That's kind of wasting of your time, unless you could have like close to perfect scores on both. Then that would be okay. But just doing one SAT or ACT, that should be fine, right? And also the letter of recommendation, that's going to be important. And intense love of learning as evidenced by academic research outside the classroom with a college professor leading to a publication in a journal, same thing, right? And here's a little bit lower side, like a 7 out of 9. You could be at top 5% in your class, and little less number of APs than those people who are at rating 9 and so forth, right? So here is Olympic medalist. That's going to be like way too much. A lot of I don't want to say like a lot. Some students they did the performance, either piano or violin at Carnegie Hall. Now that's good, right? Or Monta Vista or I could DVHS. You know, you guys have like a really strong the choir team, right? So you guys won the national championship, and then you went to or your team or your like a group went to Carnegie Hall and you perform. So even though it is a group activity, but you're a member of it, yeah, that would be good, right? And also here is like Math Olympiad and the Science Olympiad, so that's gonna be really good. So we have college consultation program, and for like I would say like a 2/3 of the consultation students who got into the Ivy League and Stanford past few years, they all did Science Olympiad or like Math Olympiad, right? So that is, and also like I think almost like everybody did like Cosmos program. So these are the students who got into like Ivy League um, for like an early decision, the admission. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna stop here now. I was gonna introduce my the program that we have, but I'm gonna stop here. Now, do you have any questions about the extracurricular activities? Oops, I'm checking the chat. Okay, the first thing is the extracurricular activity at school important, or if the kid, no, you kind of have to do both, right? So unless like the activity that you do outside school is like really good, then it may be okay. But it should be like a combination of the school activities and the outside activities. Um, but always, I mean, you know, the school activities that should come first, unless, as I said, you know, if there's like some like really good activity that you could do outside school, and yeah, so for AP courses outside, you could do AP psychology, or you could do like a AP computer science principles or application. You don't have to do it in your school. And also AP seminar, AP music theory, AP art history. So these are kind of like minor AP courses. Even like you could do AP stat like outside, right? But don't try to do like a AP like calculus AB or BC, any AP science except the AP environmental science. And also for the juniors, during the summertime, you could do AP like micro and macroeconomics during the summer, right? So those are kind of like not so hard AP classes that you can do. And does college application need AP exam? Yes. So I strongly recommend that you take AP exam if you took the AP classes. All right, so it's gonna look strange, you know, if you don't submit your scores. Now, last week I mentioned that if your AP test scores are like 1 or 2, then I don't recommend you to submit the scores, because it's gonna be a negative impact on your like you know the application review. But it's yeah, it's almost like you have to, right? So don't skip it unless it's a senior year, right? So on your applications, you're supposed to report like how many APs you're doing this year and how many AP tests that you're going to be taking next year. So some students, they don't want to do that. Some, they think it's not that important because that's going to be like after getting all these, you know, acceptance letters. But important thing is this: when you have all these acceptance letters and now, you know, you decided to go to this school. Now, for that school, you're going to have to submit your final transcript, meaning that including the second semester of your senior year and also your AP test scores, right? You're still gonna have a choice. I mean, you know, if you have like 1 or 2 scores, then you don't have to, but you are supposed to submit all your test scores. Now, here's a little challenging part. Many student thinks that after receiving all these acceptance, then you're done, and like you kind of like care less about like in a GPA and all. But be careful though, because I had like a couple of cases in the past years. There was one student who got into UC Davis, but she took like AP Lang and she had F in the AP Lang in the second semester. UC Davis rejected her, even though she had accepted, you know, before, right? So you have to be careful with getting like what you're going to be getting in the second semester of your senior year, right? So that would be important. And also, Okay, does college have any weightages in taking AP classes? Right. So I think I already explained you that. So taking as many APs is going to be important. And how many Ivy Leagues are still looking for SAT? I would say all of them. Right. So they are not requiring it, but they are all like test optional. So if you have like pretty strong SAT scores, then absolutely that's gonna raise like a little higher chance for you to go to the for the Ivy League admission. And does the AP seminar or AP research recognized by schools as good courses? I mean, it's the AP courses, right? So AP courses, whether it's kind of like less competitive than other AP, it's the APs. So most colleges are going to be more interested in AP courses and honors courses than just regular courses that you do, right? Okay. So I think that's about the all. Now, any other questions? You could open your microphone and ask. So I'm doing like Q&A right now. So I know like this is like really bombarding. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, what should I do? Um, we had the corporate meeting yesterday. I know on Thursday. This is the elite corporate meeting, and all the directors from like all these branches come, and we had a meeting. And we're talking about the UC admission this year, and I mean, it was very interesting. So one thing for sure, this is not like really positive news. It's very unpredictable, right? So again, UC Irvine, just like last year, they put like a lot of students either rejected or they put them on the wait list. So we had like students who got into UCL and UC Berkeley, but they either got rejected or they were on the wait list. And also, we found out that every UC campus received like a lot more applications than the last year's. So I think I told you this last Saturday. UCLA received 149,000 applications, which is like 10,000 more than last year's. And same thing with like UC Berkeley. I mean, UC Berkeley had even more than 10,000 like applications than last year. So it's just getting a lot more tougher, a lot more difficult to go to the UCs. So it's always good to open doors for like a private schools. I know it's gonna be a lot more money, more tuition, but now, I mean, as you're applying or as you're applying for the colleges, well, let's not think about tuition matter right now, right? And the good chance is that I mean, you're gonna go to one of the UCs, but you want to open doors for like how this private college is gonna come out with their scholarship offer, right? So I've heard from many of my consultation students and also college application students from last year that they've got pretty good amount of scholarships, right? So you could always make decisions after having all these acceptance letters, right? But if you just focus on the UCs, it's pretty hard to predict, right? So when you work on your applications this year, just try to have like an open mind, okay? Now, questions? Okay, there is one more question. Okay, what percentage of California residents get into? Well, it says like 85%, but 85%, I think, of the California residents should get into the UCs, but don't even have any expectation for like UCLA, UC Berkeley. Usually it's either UC Riverside or UC Merced. And I think a lot of students gonna have, I mean, they'll be accepted to the UC Merced, but nothing like, Irvine, Davis, or Santa Barbara, or like, San Diego, right? Okay. All right, so the next thing is I just want to introduce the program that we have. So knowing how difficult it is to go to college these days, now we offer our college the consultation program. So there are a few things that we focus on, and that's obviously the academic management GPA improvement. We have very tight follow-up system for our consultation students. So we don't want our students to get behind or fall behind in academic areas. So unless like parents object to like share the students like the school portal info, So we have like the students portal info, meaning that we could log into students like the school portal, and then we check like class the status every week. So let's say that either you forgot to turn your homework in, or you didn't turn your homework in, and then teacher made a note, that we catch that right away. Or you have like a C or a D on your quiz or a test, then we catch that. So if that happens, then we set up a meeting with you and your parents are like right away, and we try to find out, what happened. So the academic, I mean, you can't ignore it, right? So the academics is very, very important. And when I have a conference meeting with my consultation students who are like struggling in their classes, it's not something like, okay, what I mean, I ask questions, and that's called the case study. So I ask questions like, why do you think that you're getting bad grade in your class? And surprisingly, a lot of students saying the teacher's not teaching at all. And I hear that, and that's true. I mean, these days, like teachers are not teaching so much, and maybe teachers wouldn't like me saying this, but that's the truth. But the problem with that is college is not going to accept that, right? So teachers are not teaching, but college is going to be more interested in what did you do about it, right? And if you say like, okay, I got like C in this class because the class was hard and because teacher didn't teach much, now college is not going to accept that reason. So they always want to see something like, this was my hardship, but I made these plans, and this is the outcome that's something that college is going to be looking for. But what I find out from my students usually is it's the study habit and it's the study strategy, right? And I find like a lot of cases that the students don't read the reading materials that the teachers put on online, right? So here are like, the PDF file. I mean, since you guys don't have like textbooks, and some students told me like, I don't have any textbook in my class, and I was really surprised. So one of the conference meetings, I asked the student to open up the class material, and I saw like a reading material, and it was like multiple reading materials that the teachers put them on. And I asked my student, okay, did you read this? He said, no, I focused on the lecture notes. Well, that's a bad study strategy, right? You can't just rely on the lecture notes, because I mean, let's say that you understood the teacher's lecture 100%. That would not guarantee for you to have an A in that class, right? So if you build that kind of study habit, trust me, 100% money back guarantee, you're gonna have pretty hard time when you go to college, right? Because in college, I think many colleges, if it is not like 90%, they're gonna sell lecture notes, especially for the lower division classes, meaning that the classes that you're gonna be taking in freshman and sophomore year. Many of them, many freshmen and sophomore, they're gonna purchase lecture notes, right? And you study the lecture notes, those are pretty good. You study the lecture notes, and then you take midterm or final. I would say probably there's gonna be a good chance for you to get C, and maybe B, but it's not gonna work. So the studying textbook, that's really important. So I see that. And sometimes, the students said the class is like really hard. And then they just tell me like, oh, honors pre-calculus is really hard. And also they tell me like, honors pre-calculus at like DVHS is known to be one of the toughest class that you could do. Well, I hear two different things, all right? So I'm not like, discriminating these students who reported to me saying that like, honors pre-cal at DVHS is really hard. I take that because I know it. But I hear it on the other side that it's not that hard. So I don't know what to take, but I think that school has like a really difficult teacher. Same thing with like a APUSH, AP Euro, and also AP World. Well, then I ask, okay, why is it hard? All right, so it's the case study. So I have a meeting with my student, and I ask like a different questions and all. The problem is not the class material is hard, but it's the study skill. Like they don't know how to study. So that's the thing that we help with our students, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm sorry that happened and, study harder. No, we don't stop there because the reason that we're doing very careful study on each cases is because I see a lot of my students when they came to us, the first time, I saw potentials. They could do much better than what they performed at that time. It's just the thing is, the first thing, the students were not able to see the potentials they had in them, right? So we help the students to cultivate. The first thing is let them see what kind of potential they do have. So in order for us to do that, we try different things. And we ask our students to try this and try that. And trust me, I mean, later they see their potential. And there is a great benefit when you start seeing the potential that you have. And that's called confidence, right? So when your grades are like C or like D, and you're not doing really good in your school, and you have this big time conflict with your parents, you don't have that confidence. But when you start making differences, right, and your grades going up, and you're doing much better in your class, the confidence is going to come in, and that confidence is going to generate tremendous power, right? So that power is usually go to challenging spirit. So next time when something difficult comes on your way, you're not going to be afraid, right? So that academic, the management and GPA improvement is not just saying, oh, do well and all. No, it's much more than that. But there are cases like the student is academically like not like really strong compared to others. Then we suggest like a tutoring services and all. So that's one of the first things that we do. And extracurricular activity, right? So we review our students, the activity, and they're like 10 monthly meeting time. Then we do the review, and we suggest this. So we know all like clubs in your school, whether TVHS or Cal High or Dublin High, and based upon your major choice that you want to do in college, then we suggest that. But our focus is a lot more on the outside activities, especially for the summertime. So extracurricular activity, that's really good. But out of that, now this becomes really, really important. So personality maturity, character building, and worldview. And this is very important, especially for the Ivy League, in the hidden Ivies and those top schools, right? Because I already showed you that, the areas that these schools are going to be interested in. Value system. I kind of like jokingly share with them, parents and the students. 6 years ago, I had a student whose dad was very famous, the professor at the U Chicago. He was a medical doctor and also he was a professor. And I mean, he had like a lot of doctors in his family. And so this student, he wanted to go to medical school because he wanted to drive Lamborghini, and he was really serious, right? That's good. I respected it. The worldview is going to be very, very important, right? And the worldview is something like, remember like when I showed you like, the Ivy League and all these top schools, they are like so much into producing the next gen or the next leaders for the country and the world. Why you want to do this is really important. So that's called value, right? The value system. Why you want to go to Caltech? Why you want to go to MIT? Why you're considering like a Stanford? The worldview is very important. So we are helping our students. There are like a few things that we do with our students. One of the first things that we do is we ask them to read some books. So two books that we ask our consultation students to read is 7 Habits of Successful Teenagers, or Teenagers to Succeed. And another book is like six most important decisions you'll make as a teenager. Now, these kind of books kind of bring into you the views that you never had, right? And also developing and enhancing your decision ability or decision-making ability, and how you should look at like certain issues in this society, in this world, and especially like in your teenage world, with like healthy views, right? So the personal maturity and character building, this is really, really important. And we try to help our students to grow, um, I guess to have like a healthy maturity. So that's something that we do. So I talk to my students a lot. And I challenge them with different subjects and different things, and we share thoughts together so that they could have, I mean, some way that if I could help my students to like open up their eyes and see the things in different view, yes. So for example, I mean, there's a war going on right now. What is your view, right? And there are like so many issues going on because of like a social media, and probably you have like your friends in like drugs and some other problems, and what do you do, right? So that's the kind of things that we focus on. That's our the consultation program, and we have college application program. So this is strictly for the application help. So application preparation and essay coaching and the working on your essays together. So, and this is the program that we have, right? And also there are a few programs from the corporate side. So they offer many different programs like art, photography, data science in Python, and fundamentals of the board game design. I think they have like more programs now, so you could find a lot more about this as you go to our corporate website, right? And if you are interested in taking like extra courses through us, it's called the Elite Open School, and that's like online high school we have, right? So you could literally graduate from the Elite Open School by taking classes, and then you will receive high school diploma, right? So all classes that you take with us, it's all UC approved, and you're not gonna have any problem like sending your transcript to any colleges that you will apply for, okay? So consider this. Okay, so that's it for today, and now I'm gonna open up Q&A one more time, and if you don't have any the questions, then I'll close today's meeting. Okay, so there's one more question. Can open school courses be? Yes. So as I said, you could take either from us, or there are online schools like BYU Independent Study, Apex, and Laurel Springs, and I mean there are like quite a few, right? So you could take classes from those institutes, and then you could submit your classes. I mean, you could submit your the official transcript to the colleges that you apply for. I talked about this last week, but there will be a challenge or some issue with transferring the grades from like an online school classes to your high school transcript. If your counselor says, okay, we do not accept or we cannot accept this grade, if you hear that, don't be afraid, right? Then you're just gonna send the official transcript from that school to the college that you're gonna be applying for. Then you're gonna be fine, because the college is gonna receive all these, the transcripts together, and they're gonna recalculate your GPA. Okay. High school transcript. Yeah. So I think I touched this, right? Okay. And by the way, whenever you want to take classes like outside school, you have to have your counselor's approval, right? So I think there's a form that you have to submit to online school and also like community college, okay? And also for the community college courses, I mean the closest one by is like a DVC or Las Positas, but hey, it's online, right? So you could take a class from this like community college in New York, right? So try to look for classes that you want to take, right? Okay. Any other questions before I close? You're good? Okay. All right, so this session is recorded. Now I'm gonna put about the YouTube channel. The last week's is on the channel, and if you wanna watch it, then just contact the front desk, and then they will share the link with you. Okay, so thank you so much for joining today. And then I'm trying to open up the YouTube channel for education. So I think it's gonna start probably in 2 weeks. So I'll have like a different subject to talk about. It's not gonna be long as today's, maybe like up to 10 or 15 minutes. So I will let you know once it's up. All right. Once again, thank you so much for joining today, and then I wish you to have like the good rest of the day. Okay. I'll see you next time.